Welcome back to another episode of Gameball. I'm your host, Matson Montilla, and today joining the show we have two Clemson women's soccer players, Ally Lynch and Dani Lynch. How are you guys doing?
Good, how are you? Thank you for having us.
Yeah, of course. So we talked about it before already, but you live in Los Angeles, you're from California, and then you end up in Clemson. I mean, maybe I understand why you did, right? Because Ally was here. But why did you decide to come to Clemson at the start?
Well, I kind of just wanted to be able to experience something a little bit different. I feel like growing up in Los Angeles, it's like not real life. It's like everything you see in the movies and everything. And everything's just so fast paced there. And I just kind of wanted to experience something a little bit different to honestly just appreciate like where I'm from and also just see like what it's like out here. Definitely a lot slower pace out here. Like you kind of feel like you're in your own bubble, but like that's part of the reason why I came here.
Yeah. And what about you? Did she play a part in it at all?
I mean, yes, she was a part in it. I wouldn't say she was like the full 100% decision. I feel like I'd always say she was the bonus of coming here. But I just loved the school, like loved the atmosphere when I came and visited, and I think that's really why I came. Yeah,
definitely. And before we dive into more Clemson stuff, I want to kind of rewind everything back to the start. Just growing up, I mean, I read that you guys are pretty much like inseparable, right? You didn't want to play soccer until she did, and she's younger than you. Mm-hmm. So what was that like connection growing up where you guys were always competing and I guess being best friends at the same time?
Yeah, I mean, even before playing soccer, our dad loves playing golf. So we like started off playing golf and we would always, be competing who could hit the ball further, who could make it, closest to the pin. But I mean, I think it's always been good competition, friendly competition between us growing up.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I always just wanted to, when she was on older teams and we started getting separated, all I wanted to do is be like, oh, I want to play up. I want to play with you. Like, how can I get on a team with you? Or just like show up to practice. And I don't know, like I always just look up to her and like I love being around her and having her around me. So. Yeah,
definitely. That makes sense. So you mentioned your dad, obviously your whole family, it's a group of athletes, right? Your dad played baseball in college and got drafted. Your uncle played football, a Hall of Famer. Your grandfather, I read. I don't know who else I'm missing out. I'm sure your whole family played a sport.
Yeah.
But did that like compel you guys to want to play sports? Was it always a competitive family growing up?
Yeah, I think that just like growing up in such an athletic family and like seeing honestly like everyone compete at like the highest level possible has like just like really inspired me to like want to be like going down that path also. Like all my cousins, most of them like all have played sports growing up. Like two of my cousins, they play football. One plays football at Stanford, one plays at Northern Colorado. My other cousin plays baseball at Regis. My other cousin played tennis at Santa Clara. So like we all are doing it, and it's so nice because we're all kind of in the same age range that like we're all going through it at the same time too. So like when we all hit those bumps in the road like through our sports, that like we're all able to call each other and kind of just talk about it.
Yeah, definitely. Do you feel the same way about that?
Definitely. I just feel like we're all able to support each other too, since we're like, oh, you know what we're going through, you know what we're doing. And I just think it also just brings out the competitive nature, since when we see each other, I swear we're always doing something. Like there's always something going on, whether it's like a little basketball game or like we're running around on like this golf course. Like we're always doing something with our cousins and all that, which is amazing.
Yeah, definitely. That makes sense. And so they all played, a lot of them play like football, it sounds like. And then you guys are playing soccer. Yeah. So like why did you, obviously you can't play football. That makes sense. And soccer is football, but what led to you getting interested in playing soccer?
Gosh, I mean, yeah, Dani really did. I mean, I was kind of just like fine playing like golf and tennis, and like my dad played soccer when he was younger, but Dani kind of was the one that got into it, and I was like, okay, like I guess I'll do it too.
Yeah. So she's the group leader of you two?
Yeah.
As a 5 year,
she thinks so.
5 years old, I was the group leader.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. So when you got started playing soccer, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I talked to some other players with on the men's team, and I'm like, why did you play defense or goalkeeper? I feel like everyone wants to be a striker or a goal scorer, right? Mm-hmm. So what led, did you just fall into that? Like, how'd that all happen?
Yeah, I mean, I played goalkeeper for a stint, and then I stopped once I got knocked out.
Okay. How'd that happen?
Hit in the face. The girl shot it from like the 6-yard box straight to the face, knocked out.
So funny.
Did you save it?
Yeah, it didn't go in.
That's all. That's all that matters.
so
It was
funny.
so funny since our dad was the coach of the team at the time, and my dad walks and he runs out on the field. First thing I say is, I was like, "Did it go in?" And he's like, "No, you're good."
That's the right mentality.
Yeah, and then I retired from goalkeeper.
Okay.
I mean, I played a little bit of forward. It was just always on the out. I always played on the outside of the field. I also played at center back sometimes,
Okay.
but I usually got put at outside back, and I just stuck there like my whole life. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, like when we were playing like, rec soccer and everything, like there's no goalkeepers at the time, but then when you get to like U12, I think it is, U10, like they start doing a rotation because like no one has a goalkeeper yet. And when I got rotated in, I was like, oh, I actually kind of like this.
Okay.
So I was like, you guys don't need to rotate anymore. Like I'll stay here. So like from then I just kept playing.
Stuck with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, okay. So something I noticed with soccer, and you guys both played at like club soccer, right? LAFC, Real SoCal.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you get involved with that early on, or was that something that you happened to play like in high school?
Yeah,
Like
so for club, we started at this club called the Los Angeles Breakers.
Okay.
From when I was like 11 maybe to 13. Like I was like there for like 3-4 years, something like that, maybe 3.
4.
And then we went over to Real SoCal after, when like there's like this thing called ECNL, which is like the league that like like the top league. So we were like, well, we want to play there. So we switched clubs together, and then there was like another whole rule that came that like years started separating. So before, like 02s and 03s would play together, but then they separated it just based on like birth year. So then like that's when all the teams started getting switched up, and the soccer world got crazy.
And then we couldn't play high school for a year because of it.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So there was this developmental academy called DA that was like a league proposition from like USA Soccer, and it didn't work. Like once COVID hit, like they completely shut the whole thing down. But part of the rule was if you play DA, you're not allowed to play high school soccer.
Yeah.
So after COVID happened, DA went away and it went back to ECNL, which is why we were able to play high school my
Together.
senior year
Okay.
and her sophomore year.
That's a
And
good year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was the only year that we ever played high school soccer.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, you
Yeah.
did. I played
The only year that I played high school soccer.
Oh, so you didn't
years.
play your first
I never,
3 years.
my freshman, sophomore, junior year, I was in DA, so I wasn't allowed to.
I didn't play freshman year.
So you played sophomore through senior year, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I see. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You guys caught me on something.
Yeah.
But that one year you played together was pretty
Yeah.
awesome, right?
Yeah.
It was
We
quite
went-
the team.
Yeah, it was unbelievable team. We played at Harvard-Westlake. There was a team of, I think, 6 sets of sisters on the team, which
Yeah.
was pretty cool.
And we're all in college sports. Like some are playing soccer, like 2 are at Stanford playing
Yeah.
field hockey right now.
Yeah, I wrote. Yeah,
Yeah, but
I wrote that down.
They
yeah.
were so good.
Yeah.
Like it was so fun. Like we had the best time with all those girls.
Yeah, I mean, we went undefeated, like,
The whole season.
the entire season. It was like the best season ever. We won state, we won regionals, like
The goal
everything.
differential was nuts too. It was 89-6.
Well,
Oh,
we had
yeah.
one girl on the team. She scored
think
48
she
goals.
scored
48.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, she's pro.
Was that the Thompson?
Alyssa.
Yeah,
One of the
it was
Thompsons.
Alyssa.
Okay.
Yeah, Alyssa and Giselle together, I think, had like 80 of the goals.
Okay.
We
Okay.
were all just like, ooh. Like,
Yeah,
just
it was
That's
great
fun.
though.
Yeah.
Like it was so much fun, and like it was so nice. Like my senior year, just to like be able to like play for my high school and like kind of like just experience it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a fun year.
Yeah. And our high school team is always so good. Like the years after, like we made quarterfinals of like state or regionals, and like or it was either quarterfinals, finals. Like we were always in something. Like so good. Like the program's amazing. So
It certainly sounds like it. Yeah. No, it was funny though because I was ripping through how many people were on the roster?
Gosh,
Were there a lot?
yeah.
Because I went to Max Preps and there was like 40
since
names.
we had enough for. There were 2 teams.
We
there
had
were a lot of
like
teams.
a varsity, a JV, and then I think there was
There was
like
frosh soft some years.
yeah, but I think that they might have listed because like sometimes like the JV players would like come up because sometimes people had like things that they
Yeah,
had
they
to
were
do,
dual.
but
Yeah.
yeah,
The only reason I was
it
asking.
was a big roster.
Okay. Well, yeah. I was asking though because you said it too. Like I was going through it and everyone had the same last name. So I think there was.
Yeah.
Like were
Yeah.
there triplets on the team or one of them younger and they just happened?
Yeah, one
to
of
be
them was
mentioned?
younger and like they're still
Okay.
on the team. Yeah,
But they're okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And
Yeah.
then Yeah.
There was a lot of seniors, since seniors had to make varsity too.
Yeah.
That was a rule.
Yeah.
Oh.
So all those girls were on the team.
So you're really good then if you made it as a sophomore, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think I would have made it freshman year, hopefully, but like that's just me being a little cocky. But I mean, I just think that it was such a good team, like so much fun. Like I learned a lot from those girls too, since I was young when we won. Like it was amazing though.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah. Well, of course you're gonna make it early on because you had who was your trainer? Chris Thomas, right?
God.
Is that your trainer?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you were with him for
A
5
long
years,
time.
13 to 18, right?
Yeah.
Well-
Oh my gosh, he's amazing.
Yeah.
I miss him so much. Yeah.
Do you guys ever, like, when you go back to Los Angeles for, like, breaks, do you ever go back and see him?
Yeah, so oh my gosh, we were actually on the phone with him last week, since he trains like every sport, and he trains our brother. So
Okay.
our dad FaceTimed him, and we were all on the phone together. I was like, oh my gosh, hi. But he's all about like mindset and like where you are as like a player, since he's like, you can't do anything if you don't have a good mindset. And so I think that's what he focused on me first. Like he's like, you need to like believe in yourself as a person. He's like, because you are a good player. He's like, and then once you believe in yourself and get in that right mindset, then you can build all your skills afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because he played football.
Yeah,
right?
he played in
and
the NFL.
Yeah. And then, he coached every sport ever.
Everything known to man.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, yeah. I remember I saw a video and you were saying that, like, when you were training soccer, he was training somebody in, like, volleyball at the same time and
we would
different sports.
I would train with random sports. Like, I remember one time I was put with a bunch of football guys, and he was just like, kick the ball at them. Like, I don't care. Like, he's like, get it in their hands, like, make them catch it. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, what?
It works. Clearly it works.
Yeah,
all right.
it does.
Did you have a trainer that you went to growing up?
Yeah, I when growing up on the younger side, I went to this goalkeeper coach named Ian Foyer. He played in the Premier League, and he's like amazing. Would not be where I am today without him. I also trained with Ruben Messina, who is Argentinian, and he kind of like got my mentality right, because he would yell at me a lot, but it like came from a good place. But that like is kind of where I think I got a really good training environment. I feel like as a girl, training with boys in a sport makes you better. Yeah. So it was like me and my club teammate friend training with all these guys, and like we got really good because of it. And then who I still see to this day, call all the time, is Steve Meyer, who's like amazing. I can't even put into words like what he's done for me. But he's like, when I go home, like I'm gonna go train with Steve.
I used to just go and watch them too, which I think helped me, since I was like, I know how goalkeepers move now.
Yeah, because like with Ruben too, like when we would train, like he would make us play in the field too, like, which is like I think that I like as a goalkeeper have really good distribution. My feet are really good, which like can separate me from other people, and like that's why I'm good, because of him.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and it was interesting. You mentioned the biggest thing he taught you though was that mentality, right?
Yeah.
And you mentioned it too, right, with Chris. How much of soccer is a mental game?
Everything, 90%. Like, everyone's talented. Like, we know that. Like, you're in Division I soccer. Like, everyone's good. Like, you have to know that. So the rest of it's just mental. Like, if you want to make that tackle, or if you're going to win that tackle, you have to be like, I'm going to beat out this person. Like, I'm putting my body on the line. So, I mean, I think it's mindset, 90% of the game, because everything else just comes with it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think also like specifically as a goalkeeper, like having, I know I said it before, but like having a goldfish mindset is like really key, because I mean, like things happen, and you know, you have to forget about it, because as a goalkeeper, like if you get scored on, like you still have however many minutes left of the game that you still have to play, and you still have to show up for your team. So like even in practice, like if a goal gets scored, you're like, okay, next one. Like, so that's kind of the mentality you have to have.
So this is, I don't want to say it's off topic, but like I said, you play defense, you're a goalkeeper. Is there like a dynamic there between you two at all?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there's definitely a connection. I mean, like,
Yeah.
like when we were playing high school together, like every time I got the ball, I'm like, okay, where's Dani at? Where can I throw her the ball? But yeah, I mean, even in practice, I feel like we have a pretty good connection of like, I know where she is on the field, like just making sure that like like she's someone who responds well to like when I'm communicating on the field. So like I know if I tell her like I need her to step or go somewhere like on the field, like she's like jumps on it and like knows.
And I know
what
where
to
she
do.
wants me to be. Like I feel like a lot of the time in practice when we're working with the goalkeepers, we're doing transition games where it's like you have to move fast and get open for them. And so I'm just like, oh, I know exactly where Ally wants to go. I'm like, give me the ball, like please. Yeah, but I love it. She's hard on me sometimes. Like I love being on a team with her, and like she's always yelling, but
I expect a lot out of her.
Yeah, but it's out of like the goodness of her heart, and she's like, I believe in you and like you can do it. But it's so funny since I'm always like looking at her and I'm like, really, like you're yelling at me right now, like what are we doing? Yeah, but
so with that said, then like do you guys push each other the hardest, would you say?
Yeah, I mean I feel like I try to push everyone on the team, but I know with her like I can push a little bit harder because she knows it's like coming from a good place, and I know that she's like able to take my feedback well. So yeah.
And then I think it also just translates since when I'm not on her team, then I'm like, oh, I want to score on her. Yeah. The worst is when we're doing PKs and we're up against each other. They're like, which Lynch sister is better? And I'm like,
oh, do they hype that up?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, all the time. Even in high school.
I was going to say,
It was horrible.
In high school was funny.
Yeah. We would do PKs after every practice, and they'd always make me go against Ally. And she's like, I can read your hips now. I know where you're going. And I'm just like.
Yeah, I did save a few of them.
Yeah, but I scored a bunch too.
So is that true, or are you just trying to get in her head about knowing where she was going?
I mean, sometimes just because like I feel like for some of my teammates that have like shot on me so many times that I can like pick up on them. But I mean, the more like higher level you get, I mean, it gets harder to save a PK. I mean, it gets faster. Like you have so much less reaction time. So I think that just because of that, like then it becomes like you doing your homework and like scouting and like seeing like patterns and like which way that like someone's gonna shoot or something like that.
Definitely. I was gonna say that like when a team's on attack, right? Let's say you're on a one-on-one, strikers coming at you. You don't have a lot of time to react, I'm assuming. Right.
Yeah.
So how do you play that live action? Because a PK, that's more like I think you prepare for that a little bit easier.
Yeah, I mean that's all part of being a goalkeeper. Everything's like very situational. Like you have to be able to read the ball correctly, like see if someone's coming at me and they have a bigger touch, like can I step out and actually come and get the ball? Making sure that your feet are set before they actually shoot to like give you the most time to react and save the ball. But it's all very situational. That's why like you have to train it in practice, so it's kind of like just becomes like a muscle memory type of thing.
Yeah. And when you're playing, defense as a defender and they're on attack, what's your mindset going into it?
I mean, I feel like you can't overthink it. Like, honestly, I think that's like your worst enemy when you start overthinking, since you're like, oh, what's this person going to do? I'm like, no, like if you're just going for it. And I mean, you have to be very careful with what you do, since if you take a wrong step, someone's going to blow by you. And like if it's a 1v1, I just think you have to like stay set and like be patient for the moment. So,
When you're playing, like, obviously, it's fast paced, especially now, ACC. How much time do you have to like think, but also just go?
I mean, you have to know. Like, I feel like you always have to be aware of where everyone is on the field. Like, you have to know where you're going before you get the ball, because if you don't know where you're going, you have like someone's going to be on you like right away. So you have to know where you're going. I feel like, at least on the field, like you guys might have more time, but sometimes I feel like you just have a girl running at you and you're like, I have to like get rid of it too.
Yeah. I mean, as a goalkeeper, sometimes it's hard because sometimes you have games that like, your team has had the ball like 70-80% of the game, and then there's just that one moment where like you've just kind of been standing there for like, I don't know, 20 minutes, and then all of a sudden there's a breakaway. So I feel like it's like you always have to be like mentally engaged. So sometimes like that, like you just have to like, stay in the game. But our coach always says that like after games, like he wants us to be like mentally and physically exhausted. But just like that mental piece, like staying in the game.
Yeah. How alert do you have to be as a goalkeeper?
Very.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not only worried about like where the ball is, you're worried about where your back line is, where your like basically your six is, like your defending midfielder. So like you have to make sure that everyone's in the right spot while also focusing like where the ball is. So there's a lot of moving pieces, and I feel like you have to be really good at like multitasking. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah.
And soccer, one of the most, conditioned sports, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've heard about the beep test. We spoke about that before.
Yeah.
How well conditioned do you have to be? Like, because I think people just, if someone is looking from the outside in, it's like, oh, they're moving here and there, but you're moving every second.
Yeah.
So how conditioned do you need to be?
I mean, we come like for preseason, like in the beginning of, when did we come?
We came end of June.
End of June, beginning of July,
Yeah.
when preseason doesn't really even start till like the first week of August, basically.
Yeah, we're the earliest team. Like, I swear we're one of the earliest teams that, like, get out there.
Yeah, but I mean, it works.
It works. I mean, you have to always be running, though. Like, even, like, now, like, if you don't have a certain amount of minutes in a game, like, you're running after the game because you need to stay just as conditioned as everyone else to, like, stay fit. And then, like, the day after, you're also training. Like, you get in a game, like, it's like a game time practice, basically. So you're playing like you're in a game the next day, just to, like, make sure you're still in shape with everyone else.
Yeah, but like fitness is so important because that's something that you have full control over. Like, fitness is just based on like how much work you actually are putting in to be fit, which is like something that our coach is like super like on it with us, because like, I mean, it's something that you control at the end of the day. Like, you don't want to not be fit for like your team.
Yeah. What's like a daily, like, walk me through, we'll say off-season training or in-season training when it comes to staying fit, staying conditioned. Like, do you do sprints? Do you run like X amount of miles? Like, because I feel like it's different than most sports.
Like, depending on what your position is, like in a game, like you're running 6 to 8 miles. Like, that's what it is. And that is a lot.
Yeah.
So, I mean, luckily right now we only have 1 game a week instead of 2. And normally, like, our last Sunday practice, like, to kind of replicate a game, like, we had a really hard practice and after we ran and we did like a box to box running. So we have like, we're running from 118 to the next 18. We have to get there in 16 seconds and then we have to jog back. And then you turn again. And we go for however many times she wants us to.
Sometimes you don't even know. Like, since I feel like sometimes Erica, our strength and conditioning coach, sometimes she does tell us. Like, she's like, oh, we're doing like 2 sets of 6 or 2 sets of 10 or whatever we're doing. But sometimes she just does not tell us. And she's like, you guys have to keep going. Like, you don't know what's going to happen in a game. So I'm not going to tell you what we're doing when we're running. And I'm just like, oh, God.
Yeah, I would hate that. I don't want to know like what I need to do to be done by that.
Nope.
You're like on rep 7 and you're like, how many more of these are we doing?
Yeah. Since sometimes we are just like running in like a whole field, like nonstop, and you're just like, oh my gosh, I've gone around like 10 times.
What's the jump? What is that jump from high school or club to college? Like, was that a heavy, like a big jump?
High school, I mean, I think there's still at least in LA or California, there is a jump from high school to club, since I still think like the club world is very much
it's
different.
Unreal.
Yeah, like, it's insane. Like, we have some of the best teams in the nation. Like my league, at least the 1, 2, 3, 4 teams in my league were 1, 2, 3, 4 in the nation. So, like, that's what we were playing with. And then to high school, you're playing with every single girl that is, like, the best player on their team. So you're just getting girls from all over that were the best. And, I mean, it's hard sometimes since you're like, oh, I was the best at home. But you're like, oh, no, now I'm with this girl who is the best at her home. So I think there is a huge jump since it's, like, no one's not good. And, like, I feel like that's where the huge jump is. And it's also faster. Like, I remember my first practice I was like, okay, like, I gotta be a second faster now. Like, I can't even, like there's no breath, no breathing room. Like, it's much faster.
Yeah, I think, like, coming to college, like, just the pace of everything, like, it's so much faster. And also, like, the physical side of the game, too. I mean, you are 18 years old, potentially playing against 22-year-old, like, women. Like, maybe even like with the COVID year, like if they're like a 5th year, like 22 turning 23 and you're still 18 years old, like you have all this time to develop. So like that's also why I think it's great that we come in so early, just to like kind of try to get adjusted as much as possible.
Each of your freshman years, I think you came in to the team with, at your position, like a good, like, I guess, vet, like leader, because you came in with Hensley, right?
Yeah.
And she's playing goalkeeper and in the pros. And then McKenna Morris is at your position.
Yeah.
She's obviously killing it too. So for both of you, having those, I guess, vet at your position, how do they each help you just learn, whether it's on the field, mentally, physically, or just in college? Like what college is going to be like in general?
I mean, Hensley was great to look up to. Also, Hallie Makowitz, who I kind of look up to after Hensley graduated. But they were just like really good role models. We always like had a really good like goalkeeper union dynamic that like we all pushed each other. But we also are all like each other's like number one fans. Like we're all rooting for each other also. Like it's so nice like when you make like a really good save in practice and like the other two are like cheering you on because like they get it, like they understand like what that save means. But having like both of them like in your corner and just like kind of always like able to like talk to and like ask advice to or like their input on things was really nice.
Yeah, I think last year, I feel like McKenna, just in general, she has, like, that aura. I don't even know how to explain it. Like, she just does. And she's, like, you know she's coming out there and, like, she's coming out strong. And I think in practice, though, like, she was a, like, I wouldn't say, like, she was just hard on you. Like, she was like, this is how you have to do it. Like, this is how you do it. And I think it was, like, tough love. Like, and I loved it since, like, she made me, like, want to be good. And I wanted to be good for her. And then I feel like that torch got passed to Sid Manerick now. And, like, Sid is very helpful since I feel like I can always walk up to her and be like, hey, like, what do I do in this situation? Like, I can, like, lay out a situation. She can help me. Like, she talks me through it. Like, hey, like, this is what you should look for. These are your options. And I think just, like, all the defenders in general, like, I don't even want to point out anyone specific, but, like, we are all there together, like, to help each other out and, like, discuss it, and we are each other's biggest fans all the time. Like, I feel like I'm always cheering for my outside backs, even, like, when I'm not on the field. I'm like, I want them to do so well.
I want to go back to recruitment real quick, though, because, like I said, Clemson, LA, way different. Did other schools, like, look at you in recruitment, and did you consider trying to stay closer to home at all?
Yeah, I mean, like, I was kind of basically in between, like, Santa Clara and coming here. And Santa Clara is, what, a 45-minute plane ride away from home? So, like, basically super
So
close
close
with my uncle and, like, his whole family being up in, like, Palo Alto, too. So, like, I'd, you know, like, literally basically still be home or, you know, come across the entire country.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I definitely had an opportunity to stay home and like I definitely did consider it, but I think that I kind of just wanted to be a little bit more independent and, you know, see what else is out there.
Was that a hard decision, or was it just like, it's college, I'm gonna be working hard anyways?
Yeah, I think it was a hard decision. I know that my like family was like a little sad that like I went so far away, but I think that they like have realized that, you know, it's like kind of made me who I am, and like I really have gotten a lot of independence from it, and like I've loved that I've like been able to come here.
Yeah. What was your reaction when she was like, I'm going to Clemson?
I was bummed since I knew I wouldn't be able to like visit
Yeah.
like all the time since I'm so busy. Like I was in my junior year, obviously that year, so I was like, oh, I'm never going to be able to see you again.
Yeah.
But I was so happy for her. Yeah, but I mean, for my recruitment, I looked at home. Like, I am a homebody to my core. Like, everyone knows this. And, like, I mean, shout out mom and dad. Like, I wanted to be near them. Like, I love them so much. I mean, but it was really funny since, like, the end schools that I was looking at were all on the East Coast.
Oh, really? Okay. Okay.
I mean, I also am, like, very into the academic side of things, so I was looking at Ivy League schools, and then I also wanted like that big school experience where like everyone's like, oh, the sports and like all that stuff. So I feel like I was between Ivies and then like the big rah schools. Like I don't even know how to explain it, but I just remember I visited like a couple colleges like in a row, just like see like, so, like if I have them close together, then I can like completely compare them. And I showed up on Clemson. It was game day, and I had the best day ever. And like she was like my host for my like tour, and I was like, oh my gosh, this place is awesome. And I honestly think me visiting here is like really what made me come here. So
yeah. I think that also just like as a student athlete, the resources that Clemson gives us is like unbelievable, like out of this world.
Yeah.
They like really do like set you up for success once you graduate. So I think that was like another big pull, like why I came here also.
Yeah, and the coaches knew when I wanted to come, I was like, I want to be in the honors college. Like I was like, I'm like, if I'm coming here, I want to be doing the academics as well. And so the coaches were like, yeah, like go do it. So I'm in the honors college too, which is super nice.
Nice. All right.
Yeah.
Little genius. Okay.
Yeah, a little nerd over here.
Hey.
When she was looking at recruitment, though, what was your advice? Like, could you remain unbiased? Or
I mean, I obviously was like, hey, it'd be really fun if you came. But at the end of the day, I was like, you got to do what's best for you. I think that like going through recruitment, like the biggest advice that I would give anybody is like, God forbid, knock on wood, if you were to get injured for some reason or something didn't go the way you want, like, would you still love the school if you didn't play your sport there?
Yeah.
So I think that that's like a big thing, a reason why I came here also is that like I know that if anything were to happen, that like I would still be happy here. So I think that like that's like a big thing for college athletes to like know also when they like are picking where they want to go.
Yeah, like when I was talking to the coaches too, like I just remember they're like, we're gonna give you a minute to like decide if you want to come here as well. Like they were like, we're offering you, but like we also want you to come here because you want to come here, not because your sister's here or like all this stuff is here. And like, yeah, I took a while to commit to. Like I just remember I made them wait for a while since I was deciding. But then right when I decided, I called her. It was like midnight when I called you.
I was like, hello?
I was like, I'm committing. And then girl jumps out of bed and runs down the Dalthet hallways. And I was just like, oh my gosh. Yeah,
I was excited.
Yeah. I don't blame you. I mean, that's pretty cool news to hear and be able to play together. That must have been special.
Yeah.
I want to look at the first games you played like at Clemson. Yours was against St. Francis, right?
Yeah, my freshman year.
Gardner-Webb?
Oh my gosh,
okay.
yeah.
So stepping onto the field, I mean, just like in general, I know the games weren't necessarily close at the time, but you're freshman.
Yeah.
But being on the field, being in a college game, like, were you a little nervous, anxious? I've always going through your mind.
Yeah, I think I was just like trying to take it all in, like being like, this is like, I did it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm doing it. Like, this is really cool. And I think that like Riggs, honestly, it might be biased, but is the best college soccer stadium in the country. Like,
I think it looks. I think it's
it
dope.
is.
I think it's dope.
Unbelievable. Like I know that like when I have friends that like are at other ACC schools, they're like, and they come here and play, they're like, wow, like this is pretty top notch. And like when you're able to like fill the stands, like I remember for our Georgia game last year in the NCAA tournament, like people showed out to that game and just like seeing it all full and like it's pretty unbelievable.
South Carolina too.
Yeah.
I remember I turned around and I was like,
yeah, there was a lot of people. But I mean, like just stepping out there, it was like kind of like just surreal and like just kind of taking it all in.
And then you had your first save that game?
Yeah, I did.
Was that like, whoa, like you did it?
I don't know. I actually didn't even like, I mean, like I did it and then I realized it after and I was like, oh, like I actually like went out there and I did something too.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Mine was Gardner-Webb.
Yeah. What was that experience like?
Yeah. I mean, I went in, it was 6-0.
Yeah. You got a point though. You got a point, right?
I did.
Assist.
Okay, wait. That's actually really funny since I didn't even realize it. Like, no joke, had no idea. Because after the game, Jeff, our assistant coach, he looked at me. He's like, hey, like in front of the whole team, he's like, Dani, first game, first point. I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I didn't know I could get a point from what I even did, which I thought was funny. But yeah, that game was so much fun since I was just ready for the experience. It was amazing. And like, it was so much fun.
Yeah. So you brought up the Georgia game. I wanted to bring that up. Obviously, that whole run was awesome. But that game went to, PKs.
Yeah.
What was the intensity of just being there like and realizing how big of a moment it was for Clemson?
I mean, if I could like go back and relive any game, it would be that one.
Really?
I mean, the environment, like how we literally scored with a minute left in the game to like send it into overtime. I mean, it was so cool. And like winning for PKs, like we always train PKs and like for like just in case anything were to happen, for it like actually to happen, we're like, okay, like this is actually happening. And like to see that like all of our work like paid off and just like celebrating as a team after was so much fun.
Yeah, I remember just us all running down and meeting in that corner of the field. Like that was the moment. I was like, that was so cool.
Yeah.
The minute though we went to PKs, I was like, we're winning.
Yeah.
Like,
Really?
I had no doubt. Like,
Yeah.
no, we all looked at each other. We're like,
Yeah, like I was
we got
very,
this.
very confident going in. And it was also nice because we had played Georgia earlier in that season and we tied them 1-1. So like we really we wanted
Yeah.
our get back. So
Yeah.
we got it. So it was good.
What made last year's team so special? Because the 2 years before, first round exit.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
You went to the College Cup for the first time.
Yeah.
Like, ever.
I think that we just had high expectations for us because we didn't like the way that our season ended, the year before that. And I think that, we had, gosh, I don't even know, 5, 6, fifth years that stayed, and they stayed to make this run. Like our captains, Hal Hirschfeld and Caroline Conti, were like, we stayed here for a reason. Like we didn't stay here to lose. Like we stayed here to make history. So we are going to do that. So it honestly it wasn't really an option to not get where we did. And we just had so much talent on the team too. So it was incredible to be a part of.
Yeah, I remember that year, our first Hell Friday, which is it's during the summer, and it's when it's the worst. It's the day that you are running so much. And I remember in the talk before we started running, everyone was like, we've been working for this since last spring. Since the minute they got out, they were working so hard during the spring. And I just remember, I think it was Hal. Hal turned and looked, since us freshmen were standing in a little cluster, she looked at us, she goes, we've been working since spring. She's like, you guys better catch up because we're she's like, we are going all the way. And she's like, and we can't have you guys slacking. I was like, hi, Captain, I'm ready.
I would have froze. I'd be like, what's going on here?
Yeah. It was a really good mentality. I mean, the spring before that season, we went undefeated in our spring season. So it kind of set a really good tone off to what we wanted our season to be, last year.
Yeah. And then, I mean, it was a great year. Like I said, getting to the College Cup for the first time, you're a freshman, so I don't know, that's the expectation for you now.
Yeah.
But did you guys understand the magnitude of how special that was for Clemson's
I think
program?
that once we were there, we're this is
wow.
this is awesome. We're just putting Clemson on the map more than we already are. I mean, we always are a very good competitive program, but to be able to be part of history of the program was super cool. We had this one training that they wanted to kind of prepare us for the College Cup. So we had come out of a film meeting and there were hundreds of cameras everywhere around us. They weren't even on or rolling. They just had people holding them just to kind of make us understand the kind of press that we were going to get out there on the field and to kind of just have to block all of it out.
Mm-hmm.
So the preparation leading up to that was super cool. And it was so nice to obviously the College Cup was out in Cary, but to have the entire journey, because we were the number 1 seed, so we always had home advantage. To have the entire journey be done at Riggs Field was super cool too.
Yeah.
I completely agree. I remember too when we went to Cary, North Carolina, when we stepped out on the field and there's this giant jumbo screen and just had a giant Clemson pond and we were all just looking at it and we were like, that's so pretty. Yeah, it was so awesome.
Has there been a defining moment in your time at Clemson for the both of you where it's just Clemson's special for this reason, or this team has just been awesome to be a part of for whatever reason? Has there been a moment where you're I'm happy I made this decision to be here?
Yeah. I mean, I think that honestly just going through the tournament last year was amazing when we beat Penn State and solidified us kind of in the record books, holding up our regional trophy. It was super cool, and to be able to celebrate that with all of our families because it was home at Riggs was super cool. But I think that entire year last year was memorable.
I feel
all of
you
it.
Can't even say one special part.
Yeah.
Since all of it was I just remember each game I was oh my gosh, we were all so ready and so locked in. And
yeah, I mean, even in the middle of the season, we were playing Arkansas, and I think at the time they were ranked 8, we were ranked 9, or we something it was super close, and this was kind of a game to define how good we actually were going to be. We ended up winning, and it was a super big win of the season, and it was towards the beginning of it too.
With your family being out in LA, I know you said they might come out for the BC game, but do they make it out to games?
They try to. I mean, I know it's difficult. I mean, when we made it to the College Cup, for the semifinal game, my dad hopped on a plane and got right over here.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah. So that was great to have them there, and they'll be coming out to like my senior day in a few weeks too.
They always watch, like right after every game, calling on the phone. Hey, like, what'd you think? Yeah, like they're always watching. They're always on it. Like, and even if they're like not there in person, like I always know like they're still there since like they're so good about it.
Yeah.
And we know it's hard. Like we have a little brother at home, so they have to sit here.
Yeah, it was like part of like the things that we had to realize like that would happen like coming this far out.
Yeah.
So,
but they're our biggest supporters. So I mean, I adore my parents. So I love when they come out, but I also know that like they're always watching us and like watching the games, and they're just as locked in as we are.
Yeah. So your younger brother, Will, right? Mm-hmm. Is he going to play soccer?
No.
Like, what's
No,
up?
no, absolutely not.
No.
That is his enemy number
Yeah.
one.
Okay. Is it because of you guys?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he was like dragged to so many games being like little.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm so sick of this sport. Like, oh my gosh.
He's a baseball football boy.
Okay. So
Yeah.
he's following in the dad's footsteps
Yes.
there.
Oh,
Okay.
yes.
Big
Makes sense.
baseball. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
How like important have your parents been to you, like through it all, right? Because club, like I played baseball and basketball in high school. We had travel ball. We had AAU games. You know, it's a lot of time for them to do. A lot of training. For you guys, you got to Clemson. I'm sure it was with the support of your parents.
Yeah.
They're everything. Like they did so much for us. Like before we even got here, like our mom and our dad both traveling to like drive us everywhere. Like when she had stuff, like she was with dad, I was with mom. Like they drove us. I swear, like they drove. Could have the amount of time we spent in a car with them too. Like oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And our dad was our manager of all our teams. So
yeah.
Okay.
I'm very grateful for all of the sacrifices that they made there. It's a massive time commitment because I know it was like a time commitment for me, and like they were basically there through all of it. So yeah, I'm definitely super grateful for everything that they've done.
Yeah, they're amazing. Like our mom used to show up to games. Like she loves photography, so she used to take pictures of all our teams, and like we have so many photos because of it, and I love that. And then our dad, he like each team has like a team parent, team manager, and our dad was always the first to volunteer.
Always.
And I swear on both our teams, like he was like team dad. Like everyone loved him, and like everyone's like, oh,
yeah,
Ryan's coming to the game.
I don't know how to explain it. My dad is just like kind of good at like everything.
Yeah, he's a people person.
Yeah, he's he's great.
One of the girls on my team called him King Ryan, and I was like,
okay.
No.
That's great.
No.
That's next level right there.
I was like, oh god. But like, I think that also just showed like how involved and how loving they were, since like they both were so involved.
So you're in Power, right? Mm-hmm. Tell me a little bit about that. I know what it is, but how'd you get involved? What's it like? What's it meant to? And is she gonna do the next one? Yeah.
So Power, it's like a women's leadership empowerment group. They do different cohorts each year. So I was in their third cohort last year. So I like just finished it this past summer. And we met like 8 separate times. In each meeting, we kind of like talked about, owning your voice, owning your strengths, owning the room, and just like kind of figuring out how to be like a better leader on and off the field. And like through that, I gained so many new relationships with like other girls on other sports teams, which is like so awesome. Cause like even yesterday, like I like looked up in the stands and like my like lacrosse friends are there, and like the rowing girls are there now. So it's like really nice. And we also like did like a power trip over the summer, and we went to Oregon, and we went to Nike, which was so sick. Like it was incredible. We like toured the campus, got to see some of the buildings, got to talk like to a panel, and like we also went to Seattle, so we went to the Storm and like visited the entire basketball facility, and just like had so many cool opportunities to like kind of see like what we'd be interested in our like careers after sports. So it was like a once in a lifetime opportunity. I would recommend it to any female athlete here at Clemson. And then at the end of it, we did like a power summit, which was in July. And it was like kind of us now like using everything that we've learned and like teaching it to like the 150 people that like came to the summit.
Oh, nice.
So it was
good. Yeah.
It was really cool.
Yeah.
I had an amazing time.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Would you ever want to try and do
I'd
Power?
definitely do it. Yeah. I mean, I'm in TLA right now, which is Tiger Leadership Academy. And so it's like when you're in your off season, you meet with like a cohort of kids. Like it's like 2 to 3 kids from each team that's in the off season, and you all meet and go over like different things about what makes a good leader. And it was super fun. We had like 8 sessions last semester, but I mean, we have another, it's like a 2-year program, so I have it next spring as well, so I'm super excited, but it's super fun.
So your coach Eddie,
Yes.
has been there for what, 14 years, 13 years?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Long
Yeah.
time.
But what's he like, and how has he pushed you just to get better and also just be a better person?
I mean, I just think Eddie's like, he's such a good person. Like he wants everyone to do well. And I think he just has a special way of showing it. Like he's always so involved. Like he wants to like be playing with us. Like I always love when he tries to join in practice. Like I think it's so much fun. And everyone's like, oh, Eddie. And I'm like, no, like go Eddie. Like that's awesome. And I think he has such a passion for the game, and I think he truly shows it like during practices with how involved he is and like how excited he gets, and like he makes me get excited about like playing and being in practice. And I think he just does such a good job. Like he's awesome.
Yeah, Eddie, he like kind of pushes us all out there, and he always like, he has a daughter too, so he's always like, oh, like the dad in me like always wants like you guys to do great, and like, you know, just checking in on us like off the field, and you know, just kind of like wanting us to be the best that we can, because he does expect like a lot out of us.
Yeah.
So is he good when he's on the field?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
He's still got
He's
it.
good. He's
Yeah.
still got it.
He's still got it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes he's like, guys, watch this banger.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're
Hey.
like, ooh.
Shout out
I
Eddie.
mean, all
Yeah.
the coaches do. I mean, Jeff hit a nice volley the other day. I
Yeah,
was
Jeff,
like,
our
I was like,
assistant
okay,
coach.
Jeff.
Our assistant coach, he is like notorious. We always know that like he tries to meg everybody at training.
Oh.
It's a huge
Oh,
thing.
that's brutal.
It's his thing.
He gets
brutal.
3 megs of practice.
Yeah, it's
too.
his thing.
Oh, does he let you hear it? Like when he?
Oh,
my God,
yeah.
he's like-
Okay.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's
yeah.
it's great. And then like we have our little like video camera always filming our training, so it's like clip
Oh,
it, Megs.
he's got, like, a
I mean,
whole
I'm sure
wall of it all.
I'm
Yeah.
sure he's got all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny.
So I have 2 more questions. The second one being, or the first one of the 2 being, what's the expectations for the rest of the season for Clemson? What do you guys want to accomplish this year? Is it just take it week by week, or do you have an ultimate goal?
I mean, we want to make the NCAA tournament. We always we have 8 games left in the season, and I think that, you know, we just want to. We have the expectation of, you know, last year we know like how good we can be. We just kind of have to really implement it into the game. And, you know, the ACC is tough. Like, we are going to have a tough game every single week. So we just have to, you know, leave it all out on the field.
That's exactly what our goal, leave it out on the field, be mentally, physically exhausted after every
doing
single
like
game.
whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just get it done.
I like it. That's the motto.
Yeah, whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My last question for the both of you is, like, if there's like one thing you want somebody to know about you, like, what would it be? I know it's not that bad.
You go first.
Wait, I have nothing yet.
Gosh, one thing. I feel like one thing like to know about me is that like I'm always going to be genuine and just myself. Like, I'm gonna give no bold. I'm just gonna give it the way it is. So that's kind of what you're gonna get from me.
Yeah. There you have it. No BS.
Yeah.
No BS.
I think I'm always trying to be like very kind about things, which I think is funny. But one thing, I'm always gonna give it 150%. Like, I feel like 100. Like, if you're like, oh, I'm only gonna give 100. Like, you always got more left.
Mm-hmm.
So 150.
Yeah.
Like, no more, no less.
Give it your all.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. Well, I appreciate you guys doing this. Thank you so much.